either have to go way on the top or you got to in the bottom. And usually at Eldora too, when you go there, generally the top line is going to be the better handling line or better the faster line around the track that has the most grip. So I think they kind of got the best of both worlds. I think they could maybe do a little bit more improvements on the bottom of the racetrack to make that a little bit faster. It would have been a little bit better, but I think overall it was pretty good. And kind of seeing that 30 in there again. Again, a lot of it was due to some of the top contenders getting involved in accidents. Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch. I can't remember who else was there that got in some bad wrecks. Chase Elliott was kind of fast before he got some damage in that wreck as well. So basically, Kevin Harvick was the only contender that was swinging by the end of the night, it was at night Sunday by the time they got done about 8 o'clock. So there was that, but it's kind of cool to see, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. getting a second place once again at Bristol, which I'll tell you what, I don't know what it is about that track, if he's just good enough there to survive, and sometimes he ends up in the top 5, but he usually runs really well at Bristol, and Chris Buescher, which I'm telling you what, I think Jack Roush is putting a lot more effort into that car. That basically now is before I don't think it was a fourth Roush car, but I think it is now. That car made it into I think it qualified 23rd. But they've been running a lot better since he's won that race at Pocono, which is understandably so. Especially, I think it would be kind of maybe a little bit of an egg in the face to maybe not just Jack Roush's organization, who has been running better, but a lot of times can't quite get the finishes. So if they can get a guy, because Trevor Bayne is the guy that's right now on the outside looking in, trying to get into points his way into the chase. But if they can, right now they know they have Chris Buescher in there. I mean, I think it's basically a lock now with him getting that top 5 to remain in the top 30. I think it would be a good organizational move for Roush if they kind of just basically give him Roush equipment and hopefully maybe for them make it out of the first round. They're probably going to be the first ones out. And yes, I will still say it's probably a waste, or it is a waste of a chase spot. But as far as where this could also help, we talked about maybe the plus sides of this as well, where a smaller team gets a bigger check at the end of the year, which could really help that organization in the long run. Again, you just think about where this team started, really not that long ago, about 8 years ago, being a part-time start and park team, where they maybe completed 20 laps of each race that they competed in, to now being a 2-car team that it isn't the most competitive team, but it's an organization that's won 2 races now within the past 3 years, and it's kind of neat to see. So it's good for Bob Jenkins and Front Row Motorsports, and also I think too it's a good barometer to maybe see where Jack Roush is too now, getting Jack Roush equipment, and I think they're finally on the uptick basically since Carl Edwards left, it was spiraling downward. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how Chris Buescher does too at Michigan. With if you remember where this whole concussion thing, tying these 2 stories together here. Look at me. Where Dale Jr. got his concussion in that wreck, Chris Buescher at that time was running, kind of right around that 20th place, where Dale Jr. was kind of moving up through the field at that time. Again, for a team like Chris Buescher, that I think that's really good to see for Bob Jenkins' side of things. But now maybe having some Jack Roush equipment, if they can parlay that even to a top 15 now, or maybe even get a top 10. I think they'll speak volumes that hey, if Hendrick slipping up the way that they are these past few months, that you better be on your A game, because Jack Roush might be right behind you. But there's still a lot to be done. I think they still have to legitimately end up in victory lane, not just by a few miles strategy race, which I'm not saying if that's fair or not fair, but I think it's something that that they would want to prove that they can do, that they can put themselves in position to win at least on a somewhat weekly basis. Um, so with that being said, we have the race going on this week at Michigan. Again, we have the interesting storylines of who's going to be making the chase or not, as we're boiling down to the final 3 races before the chase, and we'll see what happens here. But I think you're going to see some of the guys that probably, and they're kind of because they're still running the very similar um, aero package that they ran back in June. I'm trying to remember what month that was. So it's going to be that low downforce package that I think you're going to see guys like Joey Logano, who did win pole for Sunday's event. So I expect to see him right back up front up there. Martin Truex Jr. I think before his bad luck in that race kind of barred him back in the field. I think he was a fast contender there. Chase Elliott, he said himself he made a few dumb mistakes back in June, that kind of maybe put him on. If he maybe would have got out in front and restart, it could have been a different story for him. So, I think, not just for Chase Elliott trying to get the 24 car back in victory lane for the first time since last October, I think it'd be good just for the whole Hendrick organization as well, that they can get back into victory lane. And Jimmy Johnson, maybe he has something to say for it, because I know even him and Alex Bauman, filling in the 88 car, they were, and a lot of those Hendrick cars were fast in qualifying. So hopefully for them, they can parlay that into a good showing on Sunday. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if Chase Elliott can get back into victory lane. So with that, I'm going to the race this weekend. I'm going to end on this note. I'm going to the race this weekend. I got, obviously, again, as we just talked about, no Dale Earnhardt Jr. I'm kind of wondering. I'm thinking pretty much this. We might go to Chicago. Doubt it, because there's a lot of other stuff we want to do this season yet, this year yet. But I'm like, who do I pull for? It's gonna be Tony. Probably my last time I want to see Tony Stewart drive live. Or do I pull for Chase Elliott? I guess it'll kind of play. I'm probably going to go there wearing a Tony Stewart tribute outfit like I did for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jeff Gordon back in last year's race. At least wore a Gordon hat. Or do I wear something? I'm not going to wear Chase Elliott, but if Chase Elliott's pulling up for him, I'm going to be pulling for him. So there's going to be probably my last time I'll see Tony Stewart race a Sprint Cup car. So it's going to be kind of cool to see him do that and be pulling for him this weekend. He'll definitely be the sentimental favorite, probably not just for me, but for a lot of people out there as well. So hopefully Michigan puts on a pretty good show. 2-mile tracks, sometimes kind of iffy to see if those sometimes things get a little strung out, but hopefully we see some good racing on Sunday. We're going to the truck race tomorrow, which I didn't buy those tickets till today because I wanted to find out if Kyle Busch was going to be in that race or not. I could have looked at the entry list, but hell, sometimes that stuff changes pretty quickly. So once I seen he was not in the race, I quickly nabbed those tickets up. So I'll be watching that as well. Again, be sure to check out more of the more preseason football, college football around the corner. Lambeau Field's going to be filled with Badger fans and maybe some LSU fans too when they face off next week. So we'll be talking more college football here in the next coming weeks as well. Baseball, we're getting close to the playoff time. Yeah, a lot of good stuff going on in the world of sports. We're in that upswing. This show might not have proved it, but once we get Rudy on next week, we'll talk more about our 2016 NFL predictions. We'll compare and contrast them, our annual event on that. They are terrible. My AFC, how different they really will be once we shop and compare them next week. But if you want to, until then, if you want to see what my predictions are, you can check those out on our blog at sportstalk920.blogspot.com. And, of course, you can follow us all week long on Twitter at ST920 at twitter.com and at facebook.com/ST920. And until next time, I'm Mike Goodman. Thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Sports Talk 920. Good night now.